It's the Comedeorological Report for November the 28th, 2024.
Hey everyone, it's Frank now. Things are great so far. I'm down on Prince Street in Sydney right now. It's cool outside where I'm at right now. I'm down on Prince Street in Sydney right now. I'm showing every one of you guys down Prince Street. Things are great so far. I'm showing all you guys down Prince Street in Sydney, Nova Scotia as of right now. Things are going great on my side. I'm showing all you guys down Prince Street. I'm showing every one of you guys. Things are great so far.
Well, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather we've got. Wait a minute. Well, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather, whether or not. There it is.
Hello, Prince George listeners at C4 88.7 FM. Hello, CKUW 95.9 in Winnipeg. Hello, CFBX 92.5 Kamloops. This is Joey Only. This is the Comedeorological Report. Thank you to everybody at Rogers because I got us. They're showing us across northern BC now. I don't know the time on that, but if you are watching on your cable television in northern BC now, you can find the Comedeorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals Comedeorology. It's your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. It's a special episode tonight. We got a special guest. I love special guest episodes. We got John Clarke here. He's an old friend of mine. He's a reputable anti-poverty organizer from Ontario, from Toronto, who helped form Ontario Coalition Against Poverty back in the day. He's got some neat perspectives on cold weather and homelessness, and also a new essay he wrote called Climate in Class. That's really great. So we'll talk to John first in a minute, but we'll go through everybody here quickly. Of course, we got Frankie McDonald. He'll be on right after John. Frankie McDonald, the world's most famous, awesome weatherman. And we got, returning as per usual, Brandon Houck's back from the Santa Claus Parade. He just raised $50,000 worth of turkeys today. Good job, Brandon. We're very proud of you for helping your people in Brooks, Alberta. Joe Stover up there in Churchill, Manitoba. The polar bear season is over, and Joe Stover is back with us finally. He's not out guiding people to see polar bears anymore.
And this Wednesday coming up, I'll be on Kings and Plum podcast on December 4th.
Yes, and I'll be there. We also got Hilding Donaldson, the cowboy in Grassy Plains, and Karen Richards up in Prince George from Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers, and Mike McGregor, I believe, is still with us from Weather Center in Manitoba. That's everybody. John Clarke, welcome to the show. So tell us a little bit about your history, how you got organizing in anti-poverty in Toronto in the mid-1990s.
Well, when I first came to Canada from the UK, I moved to London, Ontario. It wasn't a very imaginative move, and I got involved there because I found myself out of work. I got involved with trying to form a union of the unemployed. And so for a number of years, I was in London working on that stuff. And then a major march took place, and we all worked together, people from different cities, and the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty was founded. So I moved to Toronto in 1990 to become an organizer with OCAP. So for 28 years, I was an organizer with OCAP, and we engaged in a range of different struggles around poverty, homelessness, social exclusion, and we organized, I think, fairly aggressively, and we fought back, and we challenged those in power, we challenged those responsible. And I'm still today active in the struggles of Toronto's downtown east, fighting for housing and such like. So I've been an anti-poverty organizer for a lot of years now.
Why I think this is really relevant is because we got minus 30 temperatures coming down into Saskatchewan this week. And John, I know you know some of these names of people you still remember. Like, I know some of them stick with me. I didn't even know guys like Don Gordon and Jean Dapernay, but I remember they froze to death on Christmas Day. And I thought, wow, that's shocking. I'd like to hear some of your insights on cold weather, poverty, homelessness.
Of course, the weather in Toronto is not cold compared to many parts of Canada, but if you're out there on the streets, it's plenty cold enough to die. So we see in Toronto just a profusion of an explosion of the homeless situation that has taken place over the years. It just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And so now you've got a situation where there simply is not enough shelter space. There are not enough options. In 1990, OCAP organized a tent encampment in one of the Toronto parks, and it was regarded as a shocking act of defiance to do. Today, people are putting up tents in parks and on street corners as a matter of course because there's no other way to survive. So the level of the crisis is completely out of hand, and so you see this explosion of homelessness. And homelessness is lethal all year round, of course, but in the cold weather, it's absolutely deadly in certain very definite ways. So you've got people being abandoned. You've got crackdowns taking place on homeless encampments where people have any possibility of huddling together and staying warm, and you have people being just dispersed and abandoned. In Alberta, I know that's emerged as a major issue. The crackdown on encampments has led to an increase in the number of people facing amputations because of frostbite. So that really is what is going on. The homelessness crisis has been bad for years, but it's utterly spinning out of control at this point in Canada and in a number of other countries.
Well, there was a time period in Toronto where a definite change happened, and it was from direct policies, removing rental controls.
Yeah, Ontario's experience of the Mike Harris government in the 1990s was similar to what people in Britain faced under Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan in the United States. So you had this acceleration of these policies, cuts to social assistance. You had the elimination of effective rent controls. You had all kinds of measures taken that just exacerbated the problem incredibly. When the Harris government came to power and they cut social assistance rates by 21.6%, there was the following year a 67% increase in the number of people accessing homeless shelters in Toronto. So in BC, the organisation that was active on the poverty front for so many years was called End Legislated Poverty. And that's a very apt term because that's exactly what has happened. Poverty has been intensified because it's been legislated into existence. And it's now, during the years when I was an OCAP organizer, I continued to marvel at how bad things were and how they continued to get worse. But in the last several years, as I said, it has completely spun out of control. And if the homeless crisis, of course, is only the sharpest expression of a broader poverty crisis, because for every person who's freezing on the streets, there's dozens more people who are struggling to hand over their grocery money to the landlord to avoid being evicted. So yes, it's a dire crisis.
Yeah, during the Harris era, 2,000 evictions a month, I believe, was the number in Toronto. That intensified. It came up to that rate. We're going to talk more to John through the episode, but we have to get on to Frankie McDonald, of course, and Worldwide Weather. Frankie! Everyone is dying to know, Frankie, what's going on in the world? How you doing so far, buddy? Where's the worst weather in the world?
They got a big snowstorm heading towards New Brunswick and parts of Prince Edward Island. It's going to bring a lot of snow squalls in Owen Sound, Ontario, and Collingwood, Ontario, and all those places. It's going to bring so much snow squalls this Friday coming up. It's going to bring really cold air, and Great Lakes are very warm. That's going to bring so much snow squalls in Owen Sound and Collingwood and Highway 26. It's going to bring a whole lot of snow squalls in Owen Sound, Ontario, and surrounding areas. It's going to bring cold air all the way down to southern states. And California is getting Santa Ana winds. It's going to bring a lot of warm temperatures and Santa Ana winds this weekend coming. It's going to bring so much Santa Ana winds in Los Angeles and Southern California, San Diego, and all those places. It's going to trigger a lot of forest fires in California. It's been snowing up in the mountains of BC. And in Vancouver, British Columbia, is drier than normal. And southern interior is a little bit of snow in the forecast. And lots of snow up in the northern interior BC as well. Like Prince George and surrounding areas as well. It's brutal cold in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, North Battleford, Saskatchewan, Yorkton, Saskatchewan. The other place called Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. It's really cold up in Greenland right now. It's really cold up in Nunavut territory right now as well. In Alaska, USA. It's warm out in Texas and all those places. And it's really dry in Colorado, Utah, Idaho. With really cold temperatures in Montana and Wyoming. It's milder up in Nevada right now. And Santa Ana winds are going on in Nevada as well. In Arizona, where Gary and Dino is at. Then they got really strong Santa Ana winds in Arizona, where Gary and Dino is at.
I like those guys.
Is it like not only is Gary and Dino's show tougher than us, but they're also funnier and more popular.
weather down Central America is lots of dry weather. Guatemala's in the dry season right now, and Costa Rica and El Salvador during the dry season. Lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in Panama right now. Honduras is entering the dry season. Lots of rain and thunderstorms in Panama right now. Lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in southern Brazil, like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Venezuela's rainy season still be thunderstorms and rain in the forecast. A lot of rain and thunderstorms in Colombia, parts of Ecuador, parts of Bolivia, parts of Peru. It's really dry in northern Chile right now. In southern Chile, it's raining in the coast areas and snow up in the mountains in southern Chile. Lots of rain coming off the coast of Argentina. And very windy conditions in down southern Argentina. And it got some cold temperatures. Monday coming up in Falkland Islands and Lucia, Argentina, and the surrounding areas as well. Up around Europe, it's really cold in Iceland right now. Then it got a snowstorm heading towards Iceland Friday night and Saturday as well. Do not travel to Iceland. If anybody lives in Iceland, be prepared for major volcano. Warm temperatures in England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. In Northern Ireland, with windy conditions right now, so is France, Spain, Portugal as well. In Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, it's warmer than normal temperatures going up this Saturday, Sunday coming up in Norway, Finland, and Sweden as well. Then the cold temperature fights back next week. Then it got some dry weather in Poland as well, and warm temperatures. And then it starts getting colder in Belarus and Russia and Ukraine. Then it got lots of rain heading towards Greece this Saturday, Sunday coming up. Greece, Albania. After rain hitting Bosnia, Croatia, and all those places. And it's going to be heavy rain in southern Italy this weekend coming. Then it got some cold temperatures in parts of Turkey. Lots of dry weather in Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Morocco. Dry weather in Mali and Timbuktu and parts of parts of Sudan, Ethiopia, and those places.
Timbuktu?
That's in Africa.
What else, Frankie? What about Japan? Oh my God, what's going on there?
Lots of cold temperatures and rain going on in Japan right now. Oh my God, in Japan, lots of snow in northern Japan. And they got cold front going through Japan. Cold temperatures in South Korea, North Korea, and Vladivostok, Russia. And Magadan, Russia is extremely cold. It's extremely cold in Siberia, like Norilsk, Russia, Yakutsk, Russia, Oymyakon, Russia. It's extremely cold right down in Irkutsk and Krasnoyarsk and all those places in northern remote communities in Russia right now. It's warm out in Wuhan, China. And it's in the dry season right now, but a little bit of showers in the forecast next week, including Wuhan, China, Shanghai, China, Hong Kong, and all those places. Lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in the Philippines right now, in Indonesia right now. Thailand is in the Bangkok, Thailand. Vietnam, Laos, they're in the dry season, including parts of Bangladesh and Myanmar. They're entering the dry season right now. Indonesia's in the rainy season. In India, and Sri Lanka's in there's lots of rain and thunderstorms in Sri Lanka right now. In southeastern India. And the rest of India is really dry right now because they're in a dry season. In New Delhi, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and all those places. And it's going to get really hot in South Africa. As of right now, they got a whole lot of rain going on in Mozambique and north of Mozambique and southern Congo, Angola, and all those places. A lot of rain and thunderstorms in Madagascar, La Réunion, and Mauritius Islands during the rainy season right now. There's so much rain going on in Tanzania and north of Mozambique, Kenya, and all those places. Lots of rain and thunderstorms going on right now. In Australia, a lot of rain and thunderstorms going on in Sydney, Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Thunderstorms and rain in the forecast in Sydney, Australia. It's going to bring a whole lot of rain in Sydney, Australia, and Queensland, Australia, New South Wales, Australia, and Melbourne, Australia, and Canberra, Australia, Brisbane, Australia. They're bringing a lot of rain and thunderstorms there right now, and hail possible in the forecast. Then you got some dry weather, Perth, Australia, right now. Lots of warm weather in New Zealand right now. They got some parts of South Island going to get rain next week. And parts of New Caledonia and all those places, they're getting a lot of rain right now. In Fiji Islands, French Polynesia, and all those places. Antarctica is having a 24-hour daylight right now. Up in the Arctic, up above the Arctic Circle, is 24-hour darkness as of right now.
Excellent weather report, Frankie. Check this out. We got a little weather report here from Comedeorological correspondent Kelly Green.
Hello, Joey Only and the Comedeorological report audience out there. It is officially winter. Chilly, but the sky looks nice. And
It's really cold. It's supposed to get way colder than this, like minus 25.
holy, any plans for the weekend in minus 25?
I'm gonna go sledding with my friends for his birthday in the freezing cold.
You heard it here first. Sledding in minus 25 sounds like fun. Okay, that's it. Birds are chirping, the sun's out, but it's going to be dark. Would you believe it's like not even 4 o'clock? Of course you would. You live in Canada. All right, cheers, everybody.
Kelly, to remind us why Edmonton is so loved and why people just love living there. Just love it. We'll come back to Frankie with Frankie Videos of the Week, but we got so many panelists and we got to keep moving on because we got our special guests of the week to talk to as well. But first, we're going to run over to Brandon Houck.
The Brandon Houck Report.
Oh, hi. This is the Brandon Houck Report.
Brandon Houck, you got some hate mail this morning on the radio station door. And,
yes.
And then after that, you went out and raised $50,000 worth of turkeys.
I know. It's just amazing how radio worked, isn't it? I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll go through, weather updates and tell you why I wasn't here last week because when you work in radio, they want you to be in a parade. And that's where I was last week, in a parade. And they pretty much had a parade for me. And then they had a bunch of fireworks as well, which is kind of cool. I think it was all for me. I don't know. But anyways, so that's why I was missing last week. And then, there we go. There's all the fireworks all for me. There we go. Like I was the only one watching them, but I don't know. The whole city was out watching that. So it was nice weather for that, actually. Not too bad. Not too cold. Well, I was in the station vehicle the whole time, so that's why it wasn't too bad. But anybody out walking or on a float, they could definitely felt the chill with temperatures right around minus 10 there last week for the parade. Now, after that parade, we had our first what we call radiothon there, and that was during a snowstorm that happened on Saturday in the Brooks area. We picked up about 18 centimeters of snow. Some areas in the province picked up to 30 centimeters of snow over the weekend, with first significant amount of snow for the season there. So that was the story on Saturday, and then we had our what we call Rotary Radio Day, where we raised a lot of money, over $2,000 on Saturday. So that was our first radiothon there. And then throughout this week, it's been quite cold. Temperatures pushing only daytime highs in the minus teens, and a couple overnight lows dropping to minus 24, minus 25 here and there. And we're kind of battling out that Pacific air mass with the Arctic air mass. And that's going to kind of persist as we get into the weekend here with, daytime highs in the minus teens, right around minus 15 for the next couple of days. And those overnight lows pushing well into the minus 20. So it's going to be, quite cold for the weekend, but there are some signs as we're also watching a significant amount of snow to fall in the Grand Prairie area, where especially higher terrain in areas near Grand Prairie up towards the elbow regions, what we call it, of Alberta, will probably pick up potentially up to 50 centimeters of snow in higher elevations, but to 20 to 30 easily done through the weekend there. So significant snowfall in that part of the province. Meanwhile, for us in the south, we're going to get a couple of flurries here and there, and then we'll see those temperatures start to bump up next week as that Pacific air finally works its way over the Rocky Mountains into Alberta, and we'll see temperatures getting above the melting point there. All right, so
That's the Chinook. That is Chinook winds.
Those are those textbook Chinook winds, and that is well welcomed, especially after a cool spell that we've had in up to 18 centimeters of snow that's on the ground. So I've been holding on to these couple of jokes for the last couple of weeks because I was going to do them last week, but then I was in a parade and I didn't make it. But anyways, by the way, you're most likely to catch a cold the first week of November. However, you're not likely to catch anything in November. The folks who are not likely to catch anything in November is going to be the New York Jets, because I guess the Jets have not been having a great November so far. There we go.
Oh,
New York Jets. Okay, and then where's my other one? Oh yes, this one. All right, so you probably heard about this week. KFC has been testing out some, what they call wrapping paper. Okay, so this wrapping paper, by the way, that the Kentucky Fried Chicken has been selling wrapping paper that tastes like chicken. Okay, so next up, they're going to be selling that wrapping paper pretty much what they're going to be selling is chicken that tastes like chicken. Okay.
Oh,
Womp womp.
All right.
Oh boy.
I get to the radio station this morning. All right. And actually, yeah, today's a big day. So I get down to the radio station, and I'm the first one at the radio station. That's a good thing, because if anybody else saw this letter in the door, oh boy.
Well, there was a highway accident yesterday.
Yeah.
And you had
I'll tell
you
what
put the
happened
card
yesterday.
in. You put the card in, and it was playing the highway accident report, but then someone didn't take the card out, and it played all night.
Yeah, that was my bad. So I put the. It wasn't a serious accident, so that's the good news there. But yeah, it was a little bit of.
It was a funny
accident.
one. It was a funny accident.
Yeah, so it was somebody kind of little rear end there, had some debris on the road, and it was going to take a couple hours. So I put the card in. Emergency cart. We have these things that we call emergency carts, and we plot them in. We go right over Microsoft Teams and wide orbit, and you can do it right from here. So I was like, okay, put it on. All right. And I'm pretty much pumped for today, because today's a big day. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then I realized this morning, oh, I forgot to take the card out, and it's still playing. Uh-oh. I get to the station. I hope nobody noticed that. Well, apparently somebody did. And there's a letter stuck right on the window of the radio station. So I ripped the letter down, and I'll read it. Here we go. All right.
Try to use a voice similar to the unhinged manner in which it was written.
They've been writing letters like this since 2019. They have not liked anything about the radio station or anything or whatever happens. Probably my favorite one was the one on the Shaggy song that played at 1:36 in the morning, and it's like, you got to think about the children, because it's not a song for the children, but it's 1:36 in the morning, so I don't think there's any kids up listening to the station at that time of the night. But anyways, so this guy, yeah, he strikes again, and he sneaks out in the middle of the night, and then he puts like letters on the station's windows and such, just to, a bunch of mail, little bit of mail, the old-fashioned way. He's I don't even think he's on social media or anything like that. So, anyways, so he wrote today. All right, you people are so stupid. That's what he wrote. That's his first line on this letter. Your report at 1:36. Accident has happened. All right. And then you tell us all evening long. Stay tuned for further updates. There wasn't any further updates. That was about it. So I was just waiting. So that's probably another thing that happened there. Why I didn't update it, because there weren't any updates. So where are the updates? He put question mark. Were there any injuries? Question marks. There are no updates. 7 hours later. So what's the point? Saying anything, hey? At all? Question mark.
Well,
where
he's got
are
you
the
there.
updates at 8:30? And then puts question mark there. And then he moves on to something else that he didn't like about the station that week. And oh yes, yeah. Then before he writes about something else, your station is such a joke! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! And he highlights no, and he highlights 7 hours. Red marker on the paper here. All right, and black pen, red marker, written all over the place here. All right, your station is such a joke. Highlights joke. Big highlight right through the word joke right there. All right, and then you call in Tuesday, Turntable Tuesday, and then highlights Turntable Tuesday in red marker there. Where's the turntable? He puts question mark right there. There isn't one! Exclamation mark. How many albums do you have? Question mark. 0. Puts red felt marker right through it. You only say it because it rhymes. And that
doesn't rhyme.
You ever met this guy before, Brandon?
No, I've never even seen the person before.
Well, not that you know of. Brandon Houck, you are hilarious, and you raised $50,000 worth of turkeys after taking public humiliation once in a while.
What about
You're a
the other
great
guy
man.
going over?
I'm going to do my best to try to fit everybody in. We got to talk to John here for a few minutes, but we did have Ronnie Griggs show up from, the star of Love in the Time of Comedeorology, Love in the Time of Fentanyl, our buddy Ronnie Griggs down there in Vancouver, Imogen the Alien, who's our producer of the show for TV. has shown up as well. We got a full cast. John Clarke, can you talk to us a little bit about your new essay? And it's not the first thing that you've written on the topic. You've been kind of on about this for a little while. Climate and class struggle.
For a lot of years, I've been involved in the class struggle in one way or another. I mean, it strikes me that as this climate crisis is spinning out of control, and as we're seeing a worse and worse impacts coming down in the form of crazy weather, in the form of extreme weather, in the form of wildfires, and I mean all of the things that are manifesting the growth of the impact of climate change. That this isn't just some natural disaster. It's something that's really being caused by greed. It's being caused by profits. It's being caused by a very, very deliberate course. And in that situation, people who are fighting for their rights as workers, people who are fighting for their rights as people in communities who are facing austerity and cutbacks and all those things, are now seeing this new increase in the destabilization and hardship that's being caused by climate change. In Valencia, in Spain, recently, we saw the situation, of course, where you had these horrendous floods, and they were terrible, but they could have been prepared for. People could have been saved. The measures could have been taken that could have made a real difference. And you probably saw the footage of the King of Spain going down there to try to glad hand and people pelting him with mud. I mean, people were angry and justifiably angry. So I'm just trying to make the point that these impacts are going to change the things we need to fight for, and they're going to change the struggles that we take up. And just like the people in Valencia fighting for those basic protections, people all across the world are going to be fighting those kinds of battles. So the class struggle is being changed. So it's a cliche to say it, but the struggle for social justice and climate justice are completely interwoven, and that's the essential point I was trying to make with that particular piece of writing. It was actually a little booklet that I co-authored with Sarah Glynn, a woman from Scotland who's actually living in France at the moment. We got together and put together this little booklet on the subject.
Yeah, anyone on the panel got questions for John on the topic or thoughts?
What do you see with this climate thing? Like, are these effects going to get worse? Like I don't know if are they making any changes to pollution policies to help prevent climate change, or is this going to be an ongoing thing where things get worse? Already past the 1.5 threshold, which is concerning enough.
Yeah,
they're making policy changes to increase climate change.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, clearly emissions have not they haven't reached the cap on emissions yet. Carbon emissions are increasing. And as you say, in 2015 in Paris, they got together and reached this agreement that it would be a wonderful thing to reach it if we didn't reach the 1.5 Celsius global temperature increase. And this year is going to be the first year in which that has actually been breached. Now, there has to be a period of several years where it doesn't go below 1.5 before we can say it's really been breached. But we are on track, it's estimated, for an increase of 2.7 degree increase. And if that happens, if we look at the impacts that are happening already before the 1.5 has even really been breached, what would happen at that level is absolutely unimaginable. We're talking about whole areas of this planet where people simply can't live. We're talking about rising sea levels, and we're talking about extreme weather that's absolutely devastating. I mean, right now in the Philippines, since we're on the subject of the weather, in the Philippines, there have been 10 million people displaced by a series of typhoons that are at record levels. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're unfolding. So my point in putting together this essay is, in the face of that, if we just if we leave them to their own devices, they're just going to abandon people. They're just going to say, oh, well, too bad your community was destroyed. That's rough. Here's some tents. Get on with it. I mean, there has to be real measures put in place to protect people. And absolutely, we have to ensure that the transition takes place now. But when that transition takes place, it's going to have to be a just transition. we can't just abandon people. We can't say, you've been producing oil all these years. Sorry, you're out of work. Go away. You're on the scrap heap. There has to be a really just transition to people.
It says here in your essay, first of all, it's already abundantly clear that, like the spread of COVID, the impacts of climate change will play out along the fault lines of social, racial, and global inequality. Even in wealthy countries, the destruction and devastation caused by extreme weather, wildfires, rising sea levels, and other climate effects will threaten people and communities who have the fewest resources and the most limited options to a much greater degree. In the global south, in particular, it is horribly clear the results of climate change mean catastrophic suffering. As climate impacts intensifies, those who face the worst consequences and those who are abandoned in the face of them will have to struggle to survive. They will have to advance demands and develop strategies and forms of organization to confront those with economic and political power. The climate issue will be placed at the heart of the class struggle in country after country.
As I wanted to mention too, Manitoba had a record-breaking hailstorm year with a record number of hailstorms and the most damage apparently on record. And first time I've ever seen a windstorm with 162-kilometer wind gusts this summer in western Manitoba. If this kind of thing is going to become more common during the summer months, there has to be better measures to protect people from these kinds of damages, but also our infrastructure needs fixing because it's at a point right now where, we're not able to handle the floods disasters when they happen. And, severe weather in the prairies is getting worse. Our winters are, shorter. Droughts are becoming more common. We're getting rainstorms that, for me, I haven't seen the amount of moisture that we saw this summer in my entire lifetime. So there's definitely something going on with the climate, even noticing it here in the prairies.
Well, the level of denial is what's most disturbing to me. Like, we just had a windstorm hit 174 on the BC coast. That's a very, very, I don't think I've ever seen that on an Environment Canada weather station on the BC coast. I've seen like 168 and things like that. A very strong storm. And then people afterwards like, well, that's normal, who weren't where the bad weather happened, of course. But you have this denialism to not even like the larger picture, but what's happening today. It's maddening. Joe Stover up in Churchill, Manitoba. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back. To that end, about a lot of these, we talk about the developed countries that are experiencing consequences from climate change. In Baku, just the summit that just wrapped up. One of the things that I took away from that is that the more developed countries, or the more rich countries, I suppose, were squabbling over how much to give to the developing countries. Like, that seemed to be like a real, instead of saying how much do you need to help us mitigate what's going on, it's just
how little can we give?
How little can we give? And just squabble. And it's I'm always an optimist, but it's just, how does one that still believes that something can be done, how can one be optimistic, at least to a high degree, when you are hearing that these are the kind of things talked about at these climate change conferences.
Oh, don't worry, Joe. Your polar bears are just going to mate with grizzlies.
Yeah, so I'm told.
Our ice just formed in the lake this week here in Wells, and we're usually on par with you there. How's your Hudson Bay ice?
Hudson Bay ice is finally kind of starting to it's starting to hold up enough now that polar bears can start heading out there, which is really, really good. Normally, we start to see the polar bears leave the land between the second and the third week of November. Now, they would rather be on frozen sea ice, always. The only reason that they're on land is because there's no sea ice. So their normal fast, at least whatever normal is these days, you usually start to see the ice in the Hudson Bay break up middle of June and into maybe the first week of July. We start seeing bears around the middle of June. Well, this year was an anomaly in that we had a real stubborn piece of ice in the southwestern Hudson Bay that hung on until about August 31st, which is just unreal. I mean, the year before, by the middle of June, the entire Hudson Bay was ice free. So we're thankful that the polar bears were able to stay out there and feed on seal about 2 months longer than they were last year. But we have been sort of experiencing some more interesting phenomenon here in terms of when they talk about climate change here, at least in southwestern Hudson Bay. I'm sure it's like that all over the north. You used to be able to set your clock to a gradual temperature rise and a gradual temperature decrease. Now it's, really, really warm days, really, really cold days, really, really warm days, really, really cold days. And it's on those really, really cold days, that's when, Johnny Craphead, sorry, I know you got to edit some of this stuff out. They're the ones that are saying, well, what about global warming? I thought you said there was global warming. And then it's, +2 in the middle of January, and then all of a sudden silence and crickets from them, right? So
I liken it to when the Titanic's sinking and the guy's at the bow, or he's at the stern there, and it's way up in the air, and he says, "No, everything's fine. We're 400 feet up in the air, man."
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But long story short, the Churchill River, of course, is just pumping ice as it is freshwater into the Hudson Bay. And we're starting to get these more seasonal temperatures of -10, -14, -15, and then lows of -18, -19. And that plus no wind, that Hudson Bay goes right over, and that's exactly what we want. We love polar bears, but we don't want to see them from November until June for sure.
With a play dead. No, polar bears eat dead things.
Meteorologist Mark Ingalls has sent us a little video clip here, and while we're watching Mark's video clip, I want everyone to think of some more questions for John Clarke here on his essay. But Mark, he's famous for saying that he's a great meteorologist. Well, we say that, but he's a bad storm chaser, and he's out in Ucluelet right now, and there's nothing really going on, but here he is.
Hello everyone, Mark Ingalls here in Ucluelet, BC. I'm going to skip the show tonight because we're having our annual Harry Potter marathon. But I think really this week in the West Coast, we're looking at a pretty inactive weather pattern. I think we'll have an atmospheric river aimed at, at the north coast of BC and southeast Alaska. So for the lower mainland and like the Okanagan and places like that, like some showers, we'll have the marine layer in along the coast and the lower mainland most days, but no big storms like we had, the other week. We may return to active weather here pretty soon, but it's not happening for at least the next couple of days, which is a real bummer because I was hoping to see big waves out there, but at least I can hear the sea lions in the distance. I don't know if my phone's picking it up, but it is nice to hear. So, Mark Ingalls reporting from Ucluelet, BC. Have a good week, everyone.
Yeah, Mark, he's so great. Any questions for John Clarke on the topic of climate in class? Ronnie Grigg?
John, good to meet you. I'm in Vancouver, BC, and I've been involved in this show because I've given reports on how weather impacts homeless populations and unhoused populations. And over the past, really since I've started the show, it's changed from warming centers to cooling centers and now just extreme weather centers. And so I had a busy day today, and I admit I didn't get to the end of your essay, but what I appreciated was you pointing out that conversations, big political conversations and big conference conversations aren't solutions, right? And what I would like to know is what solutions do you come up with, like for the every person, just us?
I utterly agree with you. The conference of parties deliberations that they're having in Baku was mentioned. They are top heavy with fossil fuel lobbyists and government leaders that don't intend to do anything. They talked in terms of giving a $300 billion a year payment to the global south, which is totally inadequate. But they're already committed to giving 100 billion. They haven't even given that. So, I mean, it is, as you say, complete nonsense. But I mean, the point I think is that we have to, like many of the things I've seen over the years, if we're going to make a difference, we're going to have to fight for it. We're going to have to organize. We have to organize people. Workers in unions are going to have to fight back. Communities are going to have to organize. I mean, it's the very simple little gesture of people in Spain pelting the Spanish king with mud from the floods when he came there to offer his thoughts and prayers, I think was a really sort of a telling indication of the fact that we've got to start organizing. We've got to put demands forward. We've got to have to say, look, if there's extreme heat, people can't just be left in sweltering conditions, such as happened in BC just not that long ago. You had deaths because people's needs weren't met. They didn't respond. But if there's going to be those responses in place so that there's protections, so that there's a capacity to recover from the effects of these things, they're not just going to hand over the resources. We're going to have to fight for them. And at the same time, we're going to have to organize to actually ensure that this insane drive to keep sending carbon emissions into the atmosphere is actually controlled. But it's not going to come from the people that assemble in those talking shop conferences. It's going to come from working class people organizing together.
It's also worth noting that two of the worst global offenders are China and India. They're also two of the biggest producers of consumer goods. So really, from the everyday, every person perspective, the first choice you can make is ethical purchasing decisions. So as long as you're going to keep buying cheap garbage at Walmart, you're only looking at yourself as a cause. You're supporting the manufacturers who are the worst polluters. If you want to see results and you want to be involved, your first step is ethical choices. Source it, look who manufactures what, and make those purchases. It's going to cost more, but are you going to pay for it, or are you going to buy cheap stuff and then blame the politicians who really don't have a lot to do with it? It's the Chinese government that allows the manufacturers and the factories to produce and emit what they do. It's the consumer who buys that stuff and supports those factories. So at the end of the day, the first step in a solution is purchasing decisions. Reusable stuff, better made, locally made, not from a factory spewing garbage.
They got a top seed fault in South Bar, Norway. They got a global seed fault. They store millions and millions of seeds from around the world in there.
And there is some truth to that, for sure. There's some truth to that. There's a global drive, I think, to make this kind of a market economy. Where
they're building in 4 cities, like some of those places down South America. They're building cities and buildings covered with trees and plants. Like China is one. Colombia down South America, that's another.
Investors are making a killing because they're doing business in the third world, and that's the truth. And something I thought about often is like a simple way to reduce emissions would be if we made stuff that works and lasted. How often you buy something and within 2 months you're throwing it in the trash and getting the exact same thing again.
Well, it never used to be that way. There's toys that my grandmother bought for my parents. My nieces and nephews are still playing with those toys.
No, you made it once and you made it right.
And what about
these are built to last?
These factories have to stop making products that only last like 1 month, and then we're buying something new because it's continuing to create pollution.
Why do they do
it? From the corporate standpoint, money.
Local stuff. Like I rarely see anything made from Canada anymore, and when it is, it's either food or something cheap. Or you get a local store.
Headphones, pay more, you'll get a better product.
And did you hear about this? And again, Frankie videos coming up. Hey everybody, it's Frank down. I'm down on Charlotte Street in Sydney right now on Wednesday evening. It's cool outside where I'm at right now. I'm down Charlotte Street. I'm showing all you guys Charlotte Street in Sydney right now. I'm showing every one of you guys.
And just a couple minutes time, we got Frankie videos of the week. But yeah, those are all some very good points. But at the end of the day, it's like my little bit of power compared to, Stelco or Inco or, the big plant in Sudbury spewing out emissions. Like the people who are invested there, they got money, they got power, they got lawyers, and I'm just one guy who scrapes by in a wildfire and a YouTuber paycheck, right? So it's You know, at some point you got to look up and be like, well, it's not my fault. I didn't want this.
There are
right?
still a lot of things that more people can do. For example, learning to cook for yourself. Learn to cook. Buy ingredients instead of prepackaged stuff. Buy ingredients that you can prepare. Do meal planning. Freeze it ahead of time. You're contributing to less packaging. You're contributing to less factory farmed food, which is also a major contributor. Learn to fix your clothing instead of throwing it out and buying new stuff every time. It goes
I guess
a long way.
the basic point we're all making is that convenience culture and market capitalism are tied together, and it's a big thing to break. We do have a little weather blurb from Mike here we want to put on quick here.
Hey, weather comedy report. I'm broadcasting for Winnipeg for the Weather Center in Manitoba. It's Mike. Just winter wonderland here. It's beautiful. And you can see all the snow we have here in our yard. Not nearly as much as what western parts of the province have. You can see my foot is barely even in ankle deep. But yeah, welcome to beautiful winter in Winterpeg.
Now for the Frankie videos.
Yes, Frankie. Let's get the Frankie.
I did want to mention that it is finally starting to feel like winter here. -12 today, and it's going to be cold the rest of the week. I'm loving it. Nothing much to talk about other than a clipper system coming on Tuesday. Going to probably give us about 5 or 10 centimeters of snow. I really hope that I can get some of the snow they're getting in western Manitoba, because we're barely getting any. We barely have any on the ground right now, and I'm a bit disappointed. That's almost Christmas time. We barely have anything. So, as Brandon was mentioning, maybe some of those Chinooks will usher in a low pressure system at some point or another.
I'm ready for Frankie video of the week. Are you ready for Frankie video of the
ready.
week? We got a couple Frankie videos of the week.
Frankie Frankie's the man.
And these are all very accurate predictions you made, aren't they, Frankie?
Yes. Extreme cold weather's heading towards Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Friday, November 29, 2024. Temperature's going to be extremely cold in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and temperature's going to be so cold. And I urge everyone to don't even walk too far. Wear extra warm clothes. Have your plugs ready to keep the battery warm. Have your special plugs ready to plug the batteries in the vehicles to keep the battery warm, because the temperature is going to be mighty cold. It's also going to affect North Battleford, Saskatchewan, Lloydsminster, Saskatchewan, Alberta. Temperature is going to be extra cold. I urge everyone to drink lots of green tea, white tea, red tea. Drink lots of green tea to keep you warm. Have your extra warm clothes ready, and have your winter boots, winter jackets, hats and gloves, and scarves, and ski pants ready. Have your furnaces and heat pumps ready to keep the house warm. And have your extra blankets ready to keep you warm as well, because the temperature is going to be extremely cold in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and the surrounding areas on Friday, November 29, 2024. It's going to affect Lloydsminster, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, and North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and yellow hits Highway 16 and the surrounding areas as well. Temperatures going to be extremely cold in Saskatoon surrounding areas as well. If everybody living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, be prepared for extreme cold weather on Friday, November 29, 2024. Take care, stay safe. Don't get too cold, stay warm, be safe. Heavy rain's headed towards Sydney, Australia on Friday, November 29, 2024. It's going to bring up to 30 plus millimeters of rain in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, and the surrounding areas. It's going to bring a lot of rain. Winds are going to be pretty strong. It's going to cause a whole lot of rain. The heavy rain's going to continue on to Saturday, November 30th, 2024 in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, and surrounding areas. So it's going to bring a whole lot of rain and thunder and lightning in Sydney, Australia. That's New South Wales, Australia. It's going to bring a lot of rain. Winds are going to be really strong. Friday and Saturday will not be a good day to head to the beach to go swimming in Sydney, Australia, and the surrounding areas. It's going to bring a lot of rain that could cause a lot of puddles in the streets. It'll be flooding possible in Sydney, Australia, and the surrounding areas as well. People in Sydney, Australia, be prepared. Have your rowboats ready, for raincoats ready, have raincoats ready. When you go outside, you're ready rowboats, ready raincoats to keep you dry. Don't walk through the puddles. Avoid the puddles when you go for a walk. When you drive a car, don't drive a car through the puddles either. Don't drive a car through the flood either, because it's going to bring a whole lot of rain starting on Friday evening in Sydney, Australia. In Sydney, in New South Wales, Australia, that's where Sydney is at. It's going to bring a whole lot of rain in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, and the surrounding areas as well. If you have anybody living in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, be prepared for heavy rain on Friday, November 29th, 2024. It will continue on to Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in heavy rain. Stay dry and be safe.
Hopefully the sewers don't back up, Frankie.
Hey everybody, my dad, Frank McDonald, wrote a song on his SoundCloud, Green Sky on his SoundCloud, Mystic Mist. He played guitar all by himself. He played a guitar all by himself. He recorded his own song. And he wrote his own lyrics and mastered a song all by himself. He played the guitar all by himself. He recorded his own song. Green Sky, that's my dad, Frank McDonald's latest original song on SoundCloud, Mystic Mist. My dad did a great job. You give it a listen if you want to for Frank Down. This is Frank McDowell, my own TV station live in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Oh, you're getting
Major
rained on.
snowstorms head towards Saskatoon, Saskatchewan on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. It's going to bring a lot of snow. Winds are going to be really strong. It's going to cause blowing, drifting snow, reduced visibility, especially on Yellowhead Highway 16 and Saskatchewan Provincial Highway 11. It's going to bring a lot of snow. Winds are going to be really strong. And streets, roads, highways at Yellowhead 16 will be snow covered in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. It's also going to affect Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and Lloydsminster, Saskatchewan. Albert is going to bring a lot of snow. Winds are going to be pretty strong in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and surrounding areas. Is going to bring windy conditions, blowing snow, drifting snow, reduced visibility, dangerous, treacherous driving conditions in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and the surrounding areas as well. It's going to bring a whole lot of snow in Saskatoon and the surrounding areas as well. Winds are going to be really strong. It's going to cause blowing snow, drifting snow. Roads will be really dangerous to drive as well. People in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, be prepared. Have your winter boots ready, with your jackets ready, hats, gloves, scarves, ski pants ready. Order pizzas and order Chinese food. Buy cases of Pepsi, buy cases of Coke. Do your grocery shopping. Don't wait till last minute.
Do it right now.
Make sure your smartphones, cell phones, laptops, tablets, search. Have your 3G, 4G, 5G, and LTE ready as well. With a drive car, take a driving car. Slowly down so you don't get in a car accident. Until we go for a walk, be very careful walking to see don't slip and fall. Make sure if your furnaces and heat pumps ready. Turn on your furnaces and heat pumps to keep those warm. Drink lots of green tea, white tea, red tea. Drink lots of green tea to keep warm. Have your extra blankets ready to keep warm as well. Make sure if your shovel, snow scoop, snowboard, snowplow, salt trucks ready as well. If you have anybody living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, be prepared for a major snowstorm on Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in a major snowstorm. Stay warm, be safe.
Yeah, you nailed that one.
This is Frankie McDowell, my own TV station live in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Last one.
Major snowstorm is headed towards Regina, Saskatchewan, Saturday, November the 23rd, 2024. It's going to bring a lot of snow. Winds are going to be really strong. It's going to cause blowing, drifting snow, reduce visibility, dangerous or treacherous driving conditions, especially on Trans-Canada Highway number 1 outside of Regina and Highway 6 Ring Road in Regina, Saskatchewan as well. It's going to bring a lot of snow, blowing snow, drifting snow, dangerous and treacherous driving conditions, reduced visibilities, widow conditions. It's also going to hit Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan and Swift Current, Saskatchewan. It's going to bring a whole lot of snow on Highway 1 west of Regina as well. It's going to bring a whole lot of snow. Winds are going to be really strong. It's going to cause blowing, drifting snow, reduced visibilities, dangerous and treacherous driving conditions. It's going to bring highway winds, blowing snow, including Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and the western Saskatchewan as well. People in Regina, Saskatchewan, be prepared. Have your winter boots ready, for your jackets ready, hats, gloves, scarves, ski pants ready. Order your pizzas and order Chinese food. Buy case of Pepsi, buy case of Coke. Do your grocery shopping. Don't wait till last minute. Do it right now. Make sure you have your smartphone, cell phones, laptops, tablets charged. Have your 3G, 4G, 5G, and LTE mobile internet ready as well. When you drive a car, take your time, drive a car slowly down so you don't get in a car accident. So we go for a walk. Be very good for walking, see adults if you fall. Make sure your furnaces and heat pumps ready. Turn on your furnaces and heat pumps to keep the house warm. Drink lots of green tea, white tea, red tea. Drink lots of green tea to keep you warm. Have your extra blankets ready to keep warm as well. Make sure your shovels, snow suits, snow blowers, snow plows, salt trucks ready as well. If you have anybody living in Regina, Saskatchewan, be prepared for a major snowstorm on Saturday, November the 23rd, 2024. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in heavy snow. Stay warm and be safe.
Hilding, Cowboy, we haven't heard from you tonight. And I'm wondering, as a small-time farmer, do you have any thoughts on some of the things that John Clarke was talking about? Karen, we haven't heard from you either. You got 1 minute each if you got time.
I just had to notice that the way that farming is being affected by climate change, we're not being as big of a producer of farm food for the world in Canada. So I'm thinking that a lot of people don't really realize the impact of that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, and I'm not going to come here and try and pretend I'm an expert on agriculture, but it's abundantly clear that the production. I mean, in a whole number of countries, it's been raised that crops, staple crops that could be easily produced in abundance and with regularity and without difficulty, are now being constricted because of the effects of climate change. So it is going to mean a huge impact on agriculture. It's going to mean it all across the world, but there are parts of the world where agriculture is going to be destroyed. I mean, there are many countries where the extreme heat and the drought that is taking place is going to have a devastating impact. It's true in North America. It's absolutely true. But there are parts of the world where it's even more true. So yes, I think farming, agriculture, and the supply of food to populations is going to be massively affected. It's a huge question.
Yeah, you can find John's essay, climateandclass.net. Quickly, Mike.
What do you think about southern Manitoba and our ability to create agriculture and have agriculture and crop growth? Do you think that is going to be affected with climate change as well, as other parts of the world?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason at all why southern Manitoba is going to face any kind of a different situation. Agriculture and the stability of communities is going to be really harshly affected. When you spoke about some of the effects that are being seen already. I think that's really, that really illustrates what's unfolding. There's going to be a level of disruption in people's lives over the next few years, and it's going to just keep getting worse and worse and worse. The fact is that even if today we were able to step in and say, okay, everybody in the world is going to be a responsible person, all of the businesses in the world, all of the corporations are going to do all the things necessary. Even if we could produce an absolute end to the creation of more problems, the damage that's been done already is spinning out of control. I mean, the scientists talk in terms of tipping points. So you get things happen that unleash changes that something happens as a cause, like wildfires. They send carbon into the atmosphere. They're produced by climate change, but they're an effect of climate change that becomes a cause. So I think, it is indeed something that we're going to have to be dealing with. In decades to come, we're going to be dealing with the effects of this one way or another. But how much effect is going to be determined by what we do now.
The methane sinks being a good one. We are completely out of time now, I think.
If you want to follow me on social media, my blue sky is at Frankie MacD. My ex formerly Twitter is at Frankie MacD. My Linktree is Frankie MacDonald. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD94. My Threads is Frankie MacD94. My TikTok is FrankDonald94. My Clapper is FrankDonald94. My Twitch is FrankDonald94. My Snapchat is Frankie MECDON. My YouTube channel is Dogs and Wolves. And my LinkedIn is Frankie MacDonald. Best luck to you. I'm Frankie Donald. You're listening to Comedeorological Weather Report every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Atlantic.
You have anything quick, Karen?
I am good. I learned a lot saying.
Okay, this Comedeorological Report. I'm Joey Only up here in Wells, BC. We had, of course, everybody. We had Frankie, we had Brandon Houck, we had Ronnie, Greg Allen from Vancouver, we had Mike McGregor, we had John Clarke, our special guest. We had Imogen Cookie Bailey here with us, a producer. We also had some clips thrown in from Kelly Green and meteorologist Mark. I want to thank you very much for coming on, John. A very interesting conversation, and I very much agree with you, which is why we're having it, because I feel like there's no effort to stop this. There's going to come to a point where you have to do something to stop it.
That means Base Guy Show is going to be back on really, really, really soon.
Base Guy Show is going to be back on really, really soon. That's the show for this week. Unless you're watching the live stream. That's the show, Frankie.
That's the show.
That's the show.
I'll see you on Kinsu Club on Wednesday.
I'll see you there, buddy.
Hey, everybody. It's Frank now. I'm down Charlotte Street right now in Sydney, Nova Scotia. I'm down on Charlotte Street. I'm located on Charlotte Street right now. Things are great so far. I'm doing really well these days. It's me, Frankie Donald. I'm showing every one of you guys to Charlotte Street in Sydney right now. Things going well on my side in Sydney, Nova Scotia right now. That's me down on Charlotte Street once again. Here I am. Things are going great so far. I'm showing every one of you guys in Charlotte Street in Sydney, Nova Scotia right now.